We've got new champions all around. We've got Portland SCG champions to talk about. We've got January 750 competition from the School Stoneseeker Society Group Championship to talk about. New tournament coming up. And we've got some cool stuff in the mail to all take a look at. It's a wonderful life, y'all. Howdy, howdy, I'm American Texan, and I love trading cards, specifically the game Wonders of the First. And man, there is so much to talk about. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a Wonderful Life vlog, and the first thing I want to talk about is Portland SCG. I'm just going to share my screen here and take a look at the Wonders Codex website here where you can sign up for the events. You can also go back and look at previous events, and I am going to take a look at the Portland 1,000 point constructed tournament, and congratulations to Yo-Yo. Congratulations to all the Mythic Knights. The Mythic Knights swept Portland. In the same way that First Forms, of course, Honest AF swept Atlanta, Mythic Knights came back and swept Portland. So congratulations to all those, to all the top 8. I want to specifically shout out my good friend Prismatic making the top 8 for the first time as well as a little sparring partner, Bricks, that I've gotten to play a few times with. Fantastic player. Congratulations to him on making the top 8 as well. Of course, team members Roaming Boss and Cap for making the top 8. They were the only 2 First Form members at the Portland SCG. I don't know who this D Brown guy is, but apparently he's pretty good because he is in the top 8 in both here and sealed. But you can see here, this is the final standings. The final 2 came down to Yo-Yo and Sneaky Joe, both from Mythic Knights. Congratulations to both of y'all for making the top 2. But, you know, Capricorn reported that the meta for Portland was absolutely cracked. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and play a clip. I think I have it from the Radish Digital creators of the first stream and share a little bit of what Capricorn said about the Portland meta.
Everything is crazy right now, guys. A lot of the normal meta decks that were rearing their ugly heads in Vegas and all the other SCG cons got big nerfs with the new DBS. We saw Scarab get nerfed. We saw Blazafel get nerfed. We saw all the Patria stuff get nerfed. We saw the Drakes and the Noctarum and Rocket and all this stuff get nerfed.
And when you say get nerfed, you mean the DBS went up.
The DBS went up.
Oh, come on,
so
Grandpa.
It's harder to use those things. And what happened was what tends to happen in a game like Magic after a ban, where the meta readjusts. And now that it's so hard to play those things, the deck that those things would normally be able to stop best is becoming the top deck. And what ended up coming out in Vegas, or rather in Portland, it is a deck using Chieftain Klee and Betrayer of Ironskin Clan, so that every single time you harvest, you're getting extra energy and you're getting extra actions by harvesting things like Indra Citadel and Twilight Marsh and all of the different lands that can somehow get you an extra action when you harvest them. You're Chieftain Kleeing, you're Vob Stalkering to copy the Chieftain Klee, and then you are Plant Terroring to copy the Vob Stalker and the Chieftain Klee. And basically what's happening is every time you harvest, you're getting like 4 actions and 2 energy. And you're using Commanding Croak. They run all 3 Commanding Croaks, so they just dig for another land and do it again. And if you're out of lands, you just use all these crazy actions you just generated to draw until you hit another land, play the land, get 4 more actions and 2 more energy. I'm not lying, guys. Sneaky Joe generated 80 energy in 1 round and only had to use half of it. He used 40 of it against me. The finals was Yo-Yo and Sneaky against each other. They were both using that same deck. They played out their entire decks. Sneaky Joe had 3 cards left in his deck. Wow. Just playing naturally, not any cheaty like shenanigans, just playing the cards because you had like unlimited actions. Like both players had like 30 actions every single round. It was absolutely absurd. And the only reason Yo-Yo ended up winning was because Sneaky Joe was so low on cards, he double cast out him. He got to look at the top of his deck and banish 2 cards, and he did that twice to the last 3 cards in his deck. And Sneaky was trying to win by attacking into Yo-Yo's utterly complex compound bow to force Yo-Yo to draw cards, trying to win that way, because the board was such a mess. Like, literally the entire decks were just on the board. And if you walked over as a new player, It was the first time in my life you couldn't walk over to a game and just look at it and kind of know what's going on. It was just cards everywhere, 17 different colors of symbiosis tokens. Like you didn't know what meant what. It was insane. The Portland meta was absolutely insane.
So Capricorn saying that the meta for Portland was all about action and energy advantage, meaning generating a ton of actions, generating a ton of energy so you can just do whatever you want. You can do this with cards like, in fact, let me pull up some of the cards here. One of the things that's very popular right now is Chieftain Klee. And what this card does is whenever you activate the on-harvest ability of a land, you may activate it an additional time. So if you, for example, harvest Indra's Citadel, normally Indra Citadel, you get the action from the harvest plus an additional action if it's in an even realm. With Klee, you get an additional action. So harvest Indra Citadel, you get 3 actions with Klee on the board. But not only that, Klee is 2 power, which means for very inexpensive in your deck, you can run a Vob Stalker, which symbioses with Klee. So if you have a Klee and a Vob Stalker, you harvest that Indris for 4 actions. And I'm telling y'all, the First Form team was very surprised by this, but that's because none of them were playing in the Stoneseeker Cup. And this was a meta that I faced very frequently in the Stoneseeker Cup. In fact, in one game, someone even harvested Indras for 6 actions in one turn. One action generating 6 additional actions. And then how do you get lots of energy? 2 ways. Number 1, you get it from Betrayer of Ironskin Clan, which is whenever a player harvests, gain 1 energy. So if your opponent harvests or you harvest, and it's harvest period. So if you're running Kalith or other elves that can harvest for an action, this also triggers Betrayer and you gain 1 energy. So not only are you tapping Indras for 2 actions or 3 actions or 4 actions, you're also getting an energy off of that. So cards like Oakthorn's Elysium, where you tap it, and when you play a 3rd Betrayer land, it untaps. Well, now you're tapping that with Betrayer out. You get an action and an energy, and then it untaps when you play your 3rd Betrayer land, and then it taps, gets you another action and another energy. They're also playing Croak, so they're just constantly finding lands, getting through their deck, knowing what's coming, what's not coming. Very surprising to see that from there. Another card that's very popular in the Betrayer meta is Fungolith Colossus. It does cost 7 energy with the link. It does cost 7 energy with the link, but on battle, banish target card in the abyss, and if you do, you gain 4 energy. So you just slam this puppy down on your first action, and then you just attack, get 4 energy back, you play another land, you tap that land, you get more energy, you get an action with Betrayer, you can untap lands with your Kalith. I like to run, I don't know if this was in any decks, but I like to run with decks like that Ayugos. You got so many actions, you're almost always going to go last, and then Ayugos just untaps it. And if your opponent is sneaky and does something at the very end, like, oh, once you're done, I'm going to tap free, and it comes back to me, well, that's fine, because I can just tap a wonder or tap a land, and I go last now, and Ayugos is going to untap that for me. And much like Fungolith, if you wanted to, you can run 3 Ayugosses. This was another combo that I saw in the Stoneseeker Cup where someone had 2 Ayugosses on the board. They tap Indras, get 4 actions. I can't do anything else, so I'm just sitting there, and then once they're done, they untap that Indras, they untap a Twilight March, and they've got all those actions back going into the next round. This is a very tricky meta to out-compete with because, number 1, if you just wipe everything on the board, they have the action advantage to just rebuild it all back up. Cap even said, someone, I think God's Eye released Yo-Yo, and in turn 7 or in round 7, Yo-Yo had like 1 thing on the board, and he managed to build up his whole board again. I also reported on this from Atlanta. We had a deck, Fred's Elves, who plays 2nd in Atlanta. He was just tapping and untapping and tapping and untapping his elves. I mean, it was absolutely masterful to see, but also a little frustrating to play with because, well, honestly, you're just not playing. You're just sitting there waiting for your opponent to finish playing. And even when you do wipe the board, they can build it all back up. So this is going to be something very interesting to see what we can come up with going into Milwaukee. I know I have a few different ideas of how to try to compete with that. I actually kind of shared one of those ideas in the Mono Sulfera deck here, where I mentioned running your own Betrayer. So anytime they tap to get an energy, you get the energy as well as Richard Grumpin. So if they're doing all of the action mumbo jumbo, well, anytime they have an action, you get an action as well. And you do have to run things to help untap Richard. If either you portal it or you do something like pub to untap it. This also helps you with the mind games. So, for example, if you play Grumpin in 6, that's going to encourage them if they can't get rid of it, which unfortunately it's a great target for Fungolith Colossus because Fungolith will kill it in 1. or just remove it. It will make them try to tap out all their lands going into 7. So unless they have a different way to untap or get some action from elves, this can help even the playing realm. So this is just something that I'm playing with to try to figure out how to deal with those things. But yeah, it's real hard to try to crack right now. We're having to be very creative in how we deal with all these action advantages. Yes, you can kill Klee, but there are ways to get it back in your hand, back in your deck, back on the table. They can already Vobstalker it. And then also a lot of folks are running their own, like I said, Betrayer and Klees. Well, then they can just Vobstalker it and just copy yours. So now they have it as well. So lots of different things that we're trying to figure out here. And I believe even Broton in either on Discord or in a comment on a video said, yeah, it's right now we're having a hard time figuring out what's going to be beating this. So best minds, top minds are on it. But congratulations to Yo-Yo. I'm glad to see Yo-Yo finally take a first place there. I believe, to my knowledge, that's the first time Yo-Yo has been champed. And then we had the $3,000 play booster sealed on Sunday. And we have another Mythic Knights showdown in the top 2. And Broton took top place in that one. And for that top 8, we had, of course, all 3 Mythic Knights that were present make it. We had both the first form members that were there make it. And then congratulations to Joe the Collector. I believe that was his first top 8 as well. And then I don't know who Captain Crazy is. And then we also got D Brown ended up showing up. So congratulations to both of those guys. You'll also notice for this, all of the records here have no ties. I love this. I know a lot of people are very excited to see this. No one tied into the top 8. Everyone played every game, and Broton, again, in a video comment said, we were playing the 5th match like a real game. It was very excited to see. The vibe, Cap said, was different. I wish I could have been there, y'all. I just could not make the flights work out. And I ended up going to Atlanta, which was good for me as well. So very excited to see all this, and congratulations, Broton. He had the best deck there. So I know Sneaky, he swept Houston. He's a champion multiple times over, but I know Sneaky, and I would say if he's happy that anyone else got champ, it's one of his team members, and I'm sure he's a lot of the reason why Yo-Yo and Broton, who are fantastic players in their own right, but having Sneaky mentor them as part of the team, I think was a lot of that as well. So congratulations to both of those guys, and also to First Formed, my teammates, for both making top 8 as top 8 there as well. And speaking of Sneaky, we also had the Stone Seeker Society Vagabond Championship, which is a competition or a tournament we had where your deck had to be 750 DBS or less, so you couldn't fit some of those high-cost, powerful cards there. Sneaky Joe and Honest AF had their final match, the championship match, on February 2nd, and Sneaky took the win. Congratulations, Sneaky. Honest AF definitely put up a fight. I'm very proud of both of them. Sneaky had a great deck, a great draw, and Alex, I think, navigated around it perfectly, near perfectly, but just could not defeat the Sneaky Joe. And now coming up in February, we have the Mono Tournament, which is only one color in your deck, or one orbital in your deck. A lot of people went with Betrayer, but actually I thought there would be more. So I'm glad to see we still have a little bit of a diverse showing out. In fact, I even watched a match today that was Thalwind and Helio. So I was very surprised that there was even a match without Betrayer. So we've got round 1 this week, and then round 2, 5 rounds over the short month. But basically, I'm very excited to see who's going to take this one. I know I did a lot of testing because I didn't want to play Betrayer, but I just couldn't figure out a great deck that could stand against it. And I knew a lot of the top players were going to be playing Betrayer. And again, when I build a deck, I build it for the top 8, not for the Swiss round. So I just couldn't figure out a way to outmaneuver Betrayer consistently. I got close with one deck. I was 1 and 2 with one deck, but I just could not get it. And so I ended up going Betrayer. I know, big surprise, but I'm excited for this one. All right, so that's everything that's been happening in the Wonders of the First ecosystem, and let's go over to the table and let's take a look at what I got in the mail the last couple weeks, including something that was sent to me. It was a total surprise, but oh man, I can't wait to share it with you. I think it's going to be literally a game changer. All right, so we've got quite a bit of mail to get through because it's been a few weeks since I've done a Wonderful Life. Starting with the first promo. May notice I have one here, but this one is signed by Tinsman. Shout out to the Bearded Dragons that I won that from, or I should say I won the auction from. But we've got the Formless promo, the first here. This is from the 2025 SCG circuit, and this was for playing in Vegas, and they ran out of promos, so I had to submit a email and all that stuff, and I finally got it. Came in a couple weeks ago, so thank you, Wonders of the First. And I will be trading or selling this one, preferably trading. I am fine to hold on to these first promos. I think this is my 4th or 5th one. There's quite a few of these out here. I think someone said there's like maybe 500, 750 at the most. So there's maybe 750 of these. I guess I got 4 of them. But I'll hold on to this one. Let me know down below how many of the SCG firsts you think there are. Also, I got this here. This is from the wonderful life that I shared with you. A story. I met a collector at Starbucks, and we got to talking about trading cards, and he gave me this one. This is a Nico Collins, a wide receiver for the Houston Texans. Really went off this year. I think the Texans did pretty good. Didn't go too far in the finals or the playoffs, I should say. But he gave me this one. It's a purple parallel Nico Collins, and he also told me about this company here, Emerald Jade grading services, and it's a small startup. Wants to grade some cards. They'll pretty much grade anything. So to commemorate the experience, I sent this off. So this card that I got for free from talking to this guy, sent it off to get graded by the company that he told me about, and excited to have this one. So I think it looks really well here. It's a really well done grading, really well done slab. So I'm going to set that, I'm going to set that up here. Looks like I got a little graded shelf going on. Maybe we'll do like a little bit of offset here. So there we go. So we still got the prisoner kind of up front there. And then we'll put that there next to the graded glasswing cockatrice that I still have for trade as well. All right. Now, last thing that I got for free here. I guess the slab wasn't free. I think I paid $8 or $9 to get it slabbed. Got some Whatnot giveies here. This is from AJ Collectibles. This was a stream that they did. I think I saw it on the Discord. I've never followed them. Unfortunately, I didn't get to buy anything, but I did win a givey, and then they threw in some bonuses as well. So just some paper cards here from AJ Collectibles, and thank you for that. All right, we got a few purchases here just for some people, I think, from the Discord. I'm not sure. I've never seen them before. I had never talked to them before. I didn't see them in the gameplay discussions or in general chat, so I don't know if they were just SCG sealed players or maybe someone that did a sealed tournament and just wanted to get rid of some of their papers. So I got a few purchases here. For my paper mythic collection, I got a Pyrathos. I say paper mythic collection. It's more like a play set. So this is the second Pyrathos I have. So now I have Pyrathos for both my play sets. And then I have another one here, and I didn't clear with them on the shout out, so I'm not going to shout them out specifically. But I got a paper Cedar Shade. Great price on this one. Paid $20 for it. Glad for that. And then a paper Jan the Magician, or as we like to call him, Juan el Mago. And this is the second one that I need. So I do have 2 complete play sets of Umbrathenes technically, but the second play set is using a lot of the foils from my collection, so I'm slowly, if I can get a good price, I will get some Umbrathene mythics. Last thing to come in the mail was a surprise. Shout out Crypto Coop. When I see this sticker on a package, I know it's going to be good stuff. He had sent me some messages about some counters that he's been working on, and I gave him some feedback, and we came up with some really, really cool ideas. Some of the things were him, and I was just giving feedback on like sizing. So here's an example of one of the tokens that he created. I think is a great idea, and that's this stun counter here, or stun. I don't know if you can't call it a token. I guess it's a counter. It's not really a counter, but it's a an effect, I guess, symbolizer. So we've got, let's say I've got Endless Ram on the board, and then someone stuns it. Well, you normally tap it to show that it's stunned, but its power goes to 0, and it's a temporary effect. So this little stun counter here, you can put right there. And so now I know when I'm playing the game, we've got a stun, and this is stunned here. So I really, really like that idea. We'll just use Endless Ram here, just a card that I had on hand here. Next, we got some shield counters. Now, this is pretty cool. I like this. Little shield counters, and they're made of wood, and they actually look like shields. So, right now I use white poker chips for that, but I like it when they look like shields. And one of the things that I was talking to Crypto Coop about was I like his tokens, but when they're all circles and when you have a whole board of them, they all blend in together. So I can't tell at a glance what's nullified, what's shielded, what's +1, +2. So I guess that's probably where I should have started. That's where our conversation started, was how can we make sure that counters and pieces on the board, like at first glance, immediately, I know what they mean. So he came up with this stun, and I said, hey, I just want a shield token or shield counter that looks like a shield. So when I see it, boom, there it is. Yeah, I know it's a shield. So it's not just a circle, it looks like an actual shield. So I really, really like that. And then an idea that I kept harping on, and he finally made these. Well, not finally made these, because I think Casey as well from the Discord did these as well. He did one that actually said howdy, which I really love. But one of the things I always said was when there's a nullification counter, I want it to cover the text box. So this is probably a bad example here. Let's grab... here we go, Skaldar. So let's say there's a Skaldar in play and Horde 1, and I want to nullify that to take it back down to 1 power. Well, I can put the nullified token on there. I keep saying token, I mean counter. And this shows that it's nullified. And what I like about it is it actually covers the text box. So it is literally like the text box is removed. The text box is blank. I guess if you wanted to, you could just put a little thing on there. Like I was using dominoes for a second. But yeah, so I like that because it literally covers the text box. It is like, or it is as if there is no text on the card. So I really, really like that. And then he sent me a few, I think, samples. I'm not sure if they're different sizes. So we've got one here that's about the same size. I know the stuns, he made a few different sizes. So I think this one is possibly different in size. And then also one that I am super, super excited for, and that is these symbiosis counters. So here is numbers here, and he's got these in these really great packs here. Let me get the tape off. So here is something that I'm very excited for. So let's say I've got a Skaldar on the board, and for some reason someone plays, I just happen to have one here, a Glimmer Bandit, right? And they're going to copy the Skaldar. So normally I just put a little green token here or a green chip here and a green chip here, and I'll show that they're Symbiosists. But what I found with my 1250 Ascend Biosis deck is I had way more Symbiosis. So I had like a lot of Glimmer Bandits, a lot of Vobstalkers, I had a Plant Terror. So a lot of things were symbiosing everything else. So what he did was he printed off these little Symbiosis trackers, which I'm super excited for. And what it is you can actually do the outline. And so see how this says Sim 1 on it? Well, I can put Sim 1 on Skaldar, and again, notice how it perfectly covers the text box. Look at that. I love that. And then Sim 1 on the Glimmer Bandit. So now I know Sim 1, this is symbiosising the Skaldar. And then if something else symbioses it as well, we can grab another Symbiosis 1 counter and just put that on the other thing that's symbiosing. Or if we need to, maybe there's something else on the board that is symbiosing. Well, now we've got, here we go, wait for it, a Symbiosis 2, right? So if there's something else, let's say we got this here, Helio Hex, right? Well, now that's getting symbiosised by something else. Well, now we've got Symbiosis 2, and then the other card that's symbiosing, I don't have another Symbiosis token on here, but that will be, let's pretend that this is a Symbiosis card. Well, now that's going to be Symbiosis 2, so symbioses each other. Does that make sense? So that way I can kind of quickly know, okay, so this is being symbiosis, this is symbiosing this one, and this is symbiosing this one. So this is something that I wanted to kind of track, because right now I was just writing on poker chips like 1, 2, and then I was like, this would be really cool, but also like it'd be really nice if it didn't cover the text box. So I know this like doesn't have symbiosis anymore. It has this text box ability. So I'm super excited for that one. If it's a Plant Terror, I guess you'd have to use this one and then have Plant Terror symbiosising 2 things. I am excited for all of these counters here. So we've got, he sent me some more nullification, more stun counters here. So here we go. Here's a smaller one. So you got different sizes as well. I am so excited for these counters. I've been asking for these for a while, and he made them look good. I mean, it's green with the gold lettering on that one, and then I like that stun is blue because that's mostly like a blue ability or a Thalwind ability. I did tell him already, I think, I would like the shield counters to be white, but this is pretty close. It's kind of white finished almost with the wood, but man, I love the detail there. And this is what I'm talking about, because I love the fact that like at a glance, if this was my board, I can see, let's get rid of that and let's say that. So I can see real quick, if this was my board, I can easily see like this is stunned, this is symbiosising this one, and this one has a shield. So like just having the different counters be different shapes and different colors, I think is a really fantastic idea. And then maybe I've got Fortune out here, but for some reason he's nullified, right? So I love the idea of all of these different counters here. I will need to get a box. And in fact, I do have a box from my gaming store. It's just a little cheap plastic thing to carry these tokens around. I'm excited to try this. I like using the poker chips. I think they're a good size, and I think this is just another level up. So shout out CryptoCoop for doing all this and sending to me this actually unprompted. I guess he had my address from a different trade we did, and this just showed up in my mailbox. So I'm super excited to share this, and I'm super excited to get this on the board. And I'll have maybe even some games next week to show you in person that I'm going to be playing shortly. Here we go. And real quick, he did send me some more. So for example, if multiple things symbiosis, this Skaldar, for example, then I would just grab a second symbiosis counter here and then just put that on here. So I know that both of these symbiosis 1 are symbiosing this one. I'm so excited for this. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to everyone who did trades in the mail. I've got even more trades and buys coming in this week. I'm excited to share with that. And also breaking as I was editing this, we have the Shattering form, submission, interest form, I don't know what you call it, but survey. If you're going to the Shattering, make sure you check the Discord, fill out that survey, because I think you can have your pre-orders sent to the Shattering. I will be there. All of Team First Formed will be there representing. I'm excited to rip open these boxes. I'll have some footage to share from there as well, but me, when I travel, I'm mainly focused on enjoying the event. I'm terrible about taking B-roll and all that stuff. But thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're almost at 300 subscribers. I'm very excited for that. I'll see if I can do a fun giveaway for that as well. Like this video if you like this video. If you didn't like this video, I hope you hit the dislike button, but I only take you seriously if you hit that dislike button twice. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Adios.